Hello and welcome to Cats Week. I'm Annalise Poorman. Bloomington Mayor John Hamilton revealed that another city employee had tested positive for COVID-19 at the biweekly coronavirus press conference. He said the country is going through a third surge and that the best thing we can do to help fight it is mask up and get vaccinated.
We know a third surge is happening. We've made that clear, and the data makes it clear that's true in cases, it's true in positivity rates, it's true in hospitalizations. I know we'll get more data on all that. It's even true now in deaths at the state level that we're seeing a significant rise in the average death to COVID as a third surge. It is very frustrating, it's very alarming. We all know that masks and vaccinations are what we need right now. Please do your part. Thanks all of you who have.
Indiana University Health President Brian Shockney echoed Mayor Hamilton's call to get vaccinated. He said IU Health hospitalizations due to the coronavirus have surged to their highest numbers since February.
Our numbers of COVID-19 inpatients across the IU Health South Central region during the past week continue to rise to volumes we've not experienced in over 6 months. The numbers of Monroe County between IU Health Bloomington and Monroe Hospital show the same concerning trends. New COVID-19 cases in Indiana have tripled to their highest levels since February, where hospitalizations have doubled since that same time. And this trend is evident across the IU Health system, where all of our IU Health hospitals in the state, our COVID-19 census has increased from an average of 60 patients per day in early July to almost 130 patients per day this last week.
The next coronavirus press conference will be on August 27th. The Public Safety Local Income Tax Committee discussed the county's local dispatch budget. At the August 13th meeting, United Central Dispatch Policy Board Representative Amy Hensley requested funding for additional staff. She said that neighboring counties have more staff and higher pay, which could drive interested candidates away from jobs in Monroe County.
Right now, our base is at 39.8. And I found out that Morgan County's base right now is like 43.3. So for a short drive, that's not much difference. They have a lot lower call volume. They have 5 or 6 in the room at all time, even with a lower call volume and a working supervisor.
Committee member Jim Sims pointed out that Central Dispatch wants to have a, quote, healthy reserve, end quote, of funds. He asked which group gets to decide how much reserve money would be considered healthy. City Attorney Mike Ruker responded that ultimately the Central Dispatch Policy Board decides. He added that it would be wise to create a working group to establish and review a 10-year capital plan to help determine how much money Central Dispatch needs in its reserves.
We would want to have Ms. Hensley and her staff take a look at what their capital needs may be over the next decade. Then maybe to sit down with a working group from the city and the county to review sort of what she produces. And then once we sort of have a document that makes sense to all of us, we would bring that to the policy board to say, look, this is what we think makes sense as a 10-year capital plan. Have the policy board look at it, review it, potentially revise it as they see fit. And then we would have something to guide this committee when we're talking about what reserves, maintaining what level of reserves makes sense for capital expenditures going forward.
The committee voted to adopt the budget as presented 7-0. The Richland Bean Blossom School Board opened a project bond at their August 16th meeting. Bose McKinney and Evans LLP partner Jacob McClellan talked about the bond authorization process. He said the funds for the bond would be used for a number of facility improvements, including upgraded technology and general renovations.
This is for a project which includes the improvement, renovation, acquisition, and equipping of the school corporation's facilities, including but not limited to technology upgrades, including computers, copiers, Bell paging systems, and other technology upgrades and equipment, HVAC upgrades and improvements at all the school corporation facilities, the acquisition of new school buses for the school corporation parking lot construction, renovation, upgrades, and improvements, and other renovations, improvements, and equipping and upgrades at all school corporation facilities.
Board members voted to approve the bond's creation unanimously. The school board also discussed hiring a therapist. RBB Superintendent Jerry Sanders introduced the position, which he said is possible through a partnership with Family Health Clinic Adult and Child. He explained the position would be at Edgewood High School and would be funded by Medicaid and other local sources.
This agreement is for a split therapist position at Edgewood High School. So 50% of this position is paid for through Medicaid, and the other 50% is paid for through Lilly grant dollars, Title IV grant dollars, and also our own local budget.
Board members voted to approve the position unanimously. The Bloomington Utilities Service Board discussed the City of Bloomington Utilities' ongoing water rate case. At the August 16th meeting, City of Bloomington Utilities Director Vic Kelson presented a request to hire a consultant for the CBU's water rate case. He explained that the consultant would help analyze the city's rebuttal and help answer questions presented during the case.
We are interested in hiring an expert who is one of the expert we're talking with is one of the authors of the AWWA's manual M1, which is the manual that explains how to properly do cost of service analyses. Our objective here is to get a second view at the analysis that we did and to help us answer questions that may be coming from the interveners in the case.
Kelson said that the CBU was pushing for a settlement. He admitted that the city would need more funds in case a settlement is not reached.
The proposal here is for funds to prepare for that eventuality, because we won't have a lot of, if we get to the point where everyone agrees that we aren't going to achieve a settlement, then we're going to not have a lot of time to be ready to be before the commission in late September. That's only 4 or 5 weeks away. So we want to begin right now with the preparations for eventually having to appear there in a trial setting.
Board members approved the funding unanimously. And we'll have more Cats Week after this message.
For hurting families in Monroe County.
A contribution to children who are vulnerable and in need of an advocate.
A staff that goes above and beyond to support and advocate for children in need of services.
The web of remarkable people who are dealing with difficult situations.
So many young people that are in need of help and trying to find a stable family, a stable place to live. Without the CASAs to make that happen, many of them would be unable to find a good home.
I love being that voice for the child who can't speak for themselves in court.
It takes me out of my comfort zone, and it also helps others.
CASA means supporting our community.
Being a CASA is making sure that your village is healthy and whole, and that the children in your village will someday be able to help the village as well.
A child who doesn't have a voice, maybe in their family situation or a school situation, now has a voice that can advocate for them.
I really enjoy working with children that are going through difficult times and letting them know that I care about their future.
We are privileged with our charge of representing the best interest of children. And so therefore we can advocate for exactly what they need without restriction, focusing on their best interest.
I want to repair the world one child at a time.
Welcome back to Cats Week. Fine-Tune CEO Rich Ham presented his intent to buy the Downtown Showers Administration Building to the Bloomington Redevelopment Commission. At the August 16th meeting, Ham talked about the company's bid to purchase the historic Showers Administration Building. He said Fine-Tune wants to use the building as its headquarters.
Our vision is it will be our headquarters, and then we will also lease out, space. We don't need the whole building, which also I think fits with the city's vision for optimal use of the property.
Ham emphasized Fine-Tune's connection to Bloomington. He said his company employs the most Kelley School of Business interns out of any business in the county.
Our history of involvement with IU is significant. We have always staffed our sales support apparatus in a kind of unique way. Instead of going out and hiring full-time inside salespeople to work our database and do the stuff that businesses need to do to open up dialogues with prospective clients and qualify the information in their database, we have always staffed that function via interns from the Kelley School. And I believe over the last 10 to 12 years at least, we've been the largest employer of interns from the Kelley School.
Commissioner Deborah Meyerson asked if the petitioners were confident that they could get the supplies necessary to finish renovations in 1 year. Petitioners clarified that Fine-Tune needed only to commit to the renovations within 1 year, so supply delays could be okay. Commissioners approved the agreement unanimously. The Monroe County Plan Commission considered a recommendation on rezoning part of Perry Township. At the August 17th meeting, petitioner Kevin Schmidt requested that commissioners rezone a parcel of land on South Victor Pike from estate residential 1 to medium-density residential. The residential project Trails at Robertson Farm would create new single-family housing, the type of housing Schmidt said Monroe County needs.
We have such few housing options in the $300,000 to $400,000 range, and we really believe that this is meeting the true need of the constituents and aligned with public comments that Margaret Clements has made related to building more single-family housing in the county to meet the needs of the true constituents. So this is 100% single-family homes on a lot size that averages between 0.22 and 0.25 acres, and is something that I think is very consistent with both the north, east, and west areas of the county in this area.
Commissioner Margaret Clements addressed comments about her stance on housing. She clarified that her concerns over proposed housing at Robertson Farm centered on the unnecessary burden that it would put on a future homeowners association.
I have to tell you, I'm not opposed to development. I am in favor of prudent development. And when I see homeowners associations become responsible for a growing list of potentially problematic features of a design, a PUO, a request to build something that is not currently permitted, my antenna go up in favor of the community. And so here tonight, we learned yet one more item that the homeowners association would become responsible for, and that is the maintenance of the fire hydrants.
Commissioner Jeff McKim showed support for the project. He worried, however, that a positive recommendation may not gain enough votes. Commissioner Jerry Pittsford agreed and made a motion to send the plan to the county commissioners with no recommendation, despite having the support of county staff.
In case number REZ-21-1, the Trails at Robertson Farm, a request to rezone to medium residential located at 4691 South Victor Pike, currently zoned as state residential and located in Perry Township. Despite the fact that we have a positive recommendation from planning staff and the Plan Review Committee and certification from the Drainage Board and the County Highway that all infrastructure is appropriate for this location, based on the fact that the county commissioners in this township have previously voted down 2 development projects, I move that we move it forward with no recommendation and allow them to do what they please.
Commissioners voted 8-0 to approve the motion. At the August 17th Bloomington Board of Public Safety meeting, board member Shruti Rana asked what changes the Bloomington Police Department expects to see with students returning to Indiana University. BPD Captain Scott Oldham said to expect more public intoxication and vandalism arrests. He added that the number of aggravated assault cases may rise as students return to open bars and restaurants.
Kind of significant from last year is we saw a giant decrease in our aggravated batteries, aggravated assaults. A lot of that you would have to put down to, we didn't have a whole lot of restaurants and bars that were open through the year for almost 10 months. And traditionally we see a fairly significant portion of those two crimes committed in that downtown area or around restaurants, bars, places where people are congregating socially. Things occur and then those fights break out, or the assaults happen, or the robberies happen. We didn't have a lot of that last year. I mean, we had a lot of it, but we didn't have a lot of it in those areas last year because those places weren't open. So we didn't have people congregating in those areas. So you'll see those stats go up quite a bit.
Deputy Fire Chief Jamie Waschel said the Bloomington Fire Department has struggled to meet their response time goals. He cited the headquarters relocation and road construction as major factors in missing their goals.
Looking at our response times, we fell off. Our goal is 90% of the time to be within that call of 4 minutes, so 240 seconds. We're meeting our 8-minute, our 480-second call goal time within 96%, but we fell off to 63%. I would attribute that to a couple things. One is obviously the flood, and then relocation and displacement of crews downtown. The other thing I would say is the streets, obviously, if you've been around, and we all have a lot of construction going on. And for big trucks, it does make it awkward and timely to get to our response calls.
The next Board of Public Safety meeting is September 21st. And we'll have more Cats Week after this message.
I'm at risk of thinking there's just no point in trying. I'm at risk of looking in the mirror and hating what I see.
I'm at risk of regretting what I do, just to join the crowd.
I'm at risk of being told not to tell. And you would never know it by looking at me. But with Girls Inc. in my corner, there for me every day, believing in me,
showing me what's possible,
I can be strong enough to respect myself and my body. To say I can rather than I can't.
to say no with no apology,
To be a leader.
to finish school, to own my future,
To break the cycle.
Girls Inc. believes every girl can succeed. That's why the trained professionals of Girls Inc. are there for our girls every day, supporting, mentoring, and guiding them in a safe, girls-only environment. Building bonds that last for years and change that lasts a lifetime. Girls Inc. gives girls the tools they need to boldly face challenges, to resist peer pressure, to be the first in their families to go to college, to beat the odds. With Girls Inc. in her corner, every girl can be healthy, confident, and resilient. She'll do more than dream about her potential. She'll reach it.
With you in my corner. With you in my corner,
I will not be another statistic.
I will fight for myself.
For my future.
With you in my corner, I will win.
Fuel her fire and she will change the world. Girls Inc. Inspiring all girls to be strong, smart, and bold.
Welcome back to Cats Week. The Bloomington Board of Park Commissioners considered receiving a deed from Mill Development. At the August 17th meeting, Director of the Operations and Development Division of Parks and Recreation, Tim Street, discussed the transfer of 0.83 acres of land to the city of Bloomington. He said Woolery Mill has finished construction of a trail that the city required them to build.
There is a new apartment complex that has been built just north behind the Woolery Mill. As part of that, City of Bloomington planning required them to build this trail and a conservation easement along the west side of the property and then plat that over to the city.
Street said the trail could eventually link up with the planned Duke Trail. Commissioner Jim Whitlatch asked Street what is currently between the end of the Duke Trail and the Woolery Mill Trail.
And you show the Duke Trail on there going to this trail. What is I can't tell from the map what's between those two spots now.
Duke Trail Phase 1 runs west to just north of Summit Elementary, which is the western edge of county-owned property right there, basically along the northern edge of RCA Park there. Currently, that is undeveloped land in between there. Okay. It's the old Sudbury Farm. So there's a farmhouse, a barn out there, pretty much untouched at the moment, but it is in a PUD and has plans to be developed at some point in the future. I don't know when exactly.
Commissioners voted to approve the transfer unanimously. The Bloomington City Council discussed American Rescue Plan Act funds at its August 18th regular session. Corporation Counsel Philippa Guthrie recounted the council's decision to pass the general ARPA resolution, which needed to be done before funds could be distributed. She explained that the council would need to update the ARPA plan each time they awarded ARPA funds.
And you may recall that the plan is currently the list of proposed 2021 expenditures that you will now be, I hope, agreeing to appropriate. So that what the plan reflects is what the ordinance has adopted as appropriations so that they are consistent. So in the future, when you approve other appropriations of the ARPA funds, we will update the plan.
Council member Isabel Piedmont Smith brought up the idea of investing in land trusts. She asked Executive Director of the Bloomington Housing Authority, Amber Scobie, how the BHA will expand its role beyond helping with local housing. Scobie said they were slowly building their capacity to include managing land trusts.
We are slowly building that capacity. We also have a development partner, Brinshaw, that helps bring some expertise to the team as well. So, I think overall the Housing Authority is positioning itself not to be, just an administrative funds through the voucher and public housing, but to be a real estate company with a deep social mission to build and manage more affordable housing.
Council members voted to approve the resolution unanimously. The Monroe County Commissioners talked about new playground equipment at their August 18th meeting. Director of Monroe County Parks and Recreations, Callie Whitmer, proposed a contract for new playground equipment at Karst Farm Park. She said the new playground would have 2 areas for different age groups and be compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act.
This is the playground that will replace the playground that you just surplused last week at Karst Farm Park Shelter 1. It will be ADA compliant. The service will be ADA compliant. We are so excited. It will have 2 units, one for 2 to 5-year-olds, one for 5 to 12-year-olds. It'll have a ramp option up to the larger unit. It'll have crawl tube. It'll have a spinning item, climbing, sliding, bouncing, tactile, arm swinging, panel games, and my favorite, Go Find a Critter.
Commissioner Penny Githens expressed excitement for the new equipment. She praised the playground design and said her children enjoyed playing on the most recent ADA-compliant playground.
No, I really like the diagrams. I mean, it just looks like it's going to be such a fun place for everybody. When there's a playground near us that was made ADA accessible years ago, and my boys loved it. Yeah, kids just run and romp on those kinds of things. It's a great setup.
The commissioners approved the funding 2-0. Monroe County Highway Director Lisa Ridge talked about an agreement to enforce condemnations at the August 18th Monroe County Redevelopment Commission meeting. Ridge presented an agreement with Yasmin Stump Law Group to help enforce potential condemnations while acquiring land for the Vernal Pike right-of-way project. She clarified that these situations rarely go to condemnation, but that the county wanted to be able to use Yasmin Stump's services if needed.
It's a very lengthy process. It's very time consuming. So we have found that it's better spent this way than tying up the county attorneys due to the time constraints on if something does go to condemnation. So the services will only be used if we have to go to that extent for the Vernal Pike right-of-way acquisition.
Commissioner Iris Kiesling asked if Ridge had set a maximum amount to spend on the agreement. Commissioner Christy Langley pointed out that the contract read, quote, not to exceed $50,000, end quote. Ridge said that the written amount could work, but that the nature of condemnations makes it hard to guess how much the process would cost.
The reason being is because it's, we don't know, one, if there will be any parcels go to condemnation. Two, we don't know at the extent of how far that condemnation could go. Some of them will end up in, they could end up in a court, or some condemnations end up in trial. We have not had any of that happen. So it's really hard to say what's the not to exceed because you don't know how far you will get with negotiations.
Commissioners approved the agreement 3-0. The Bloomington Environmental Commission discussed the viability of hosting a panel in September. At the August 19th meeting, City Planner Ben Saroff talked about the difficulty in finding participants for the environmental panel. He said only 2 of the people the city has reached out to have agreed to speak.
Very few people have been willing to participate or have really gotten many responses. For Eco Heroes, we've kind of gone to the overflow, and just me, Linda, I, and Andrew have just been kind of emailing as many people as possible. We currently still have only 2 people participating in the panel discussion, and we're kind of running out of time with that, but hopefully we can find people within the next week or so.
Commissioner Andrew Gunther cautioned that the event may need to be canceled. He cited the Delta variant of COVID-19 as a huge reason for speakers' hesitancy. Senior environmental planner Linda Thompson suggested that the commissioners iron out other information, like panel length, and continue to plan for the event as though it's going to happen.
I personally would like to continue with our planning. We've got, a new list of people to contact, and but we have a lot of outstanding questions, like the ones I sent this week via email, like how long should it last and what's the format? Because the people that we're reaching out to, we need to be able to tell them that rather than just saying, hey, you want to be on a panel discussion on Saturday? So I'd like to talk about that tonight and move forward as if everything is still going to be going on. And then if we have to cancel at the last minute, then that's what we'll do.
Commissioner Dedamia Whitney recommended the commission vote on whether to make the panel fully virtual as soon as possible. Commissioners voted to move the event fully virtual 10-0. Commissioner Gunther encouraged staff to reach back out to speakers with new information about the panel's format. And that is all for Cats Week. Thank you for joining us. For Cats and WFHB, I'm Annalise Poorman.